Welcome back, everybody, to Disc Media, a startup story, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of starting a business from the ground up. And today, we're going to be getting into something that I think is really interesting, really exciting because it's new, it's different. At least it's different, I think, for a lot of folks here in the US. You know, one of the things about starting a business and being a business owner is coming up with a good product mix, a good product fit, something that resonates with people, something that is interesting and unique. And, you know, sometimes people start up a restaurant, and there's plenty of restaurants out there. And so sometimes that can be a little bit challenging. I always tell people, though, you would think there's no more space for another pizza place or another hamburger stand, yet we have Marco's, we have Shake Shack, lots of new entrants coming into the market. And this is a concept that is really different, I think. And so today we are going to be getting into the spa business, but the spa business with a little bit of a twist. I want to welcome the owners of Oakwell Beer and Spa. Or is it Oakwell Beer and Spa or just Oakwell Beer Spa? Beer and Spa. I kind of threw in a little extra there. But Jessica and Damien Zouaoui, right?
Zouaoui. Yes, Zouaoui works too. Zouaoui is
my apologies for that.
Huh?
Welcome to the podcast, folks. So I kind of teed things up a little bit around what you all are doing. The name itself, Oakwell Beer Spa, quite unique. Want to get into that, but I also want to touch on a little bit of your backgrounds and kind of what brought you to what you're doing today. If you don't mind, we'll decide who goes first. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought this idea to fruition.
Yeah. So Damien and I, we met when we were living and working in New York City. We had corporate jobs at the time. Damien's background is in sales and marketing. My background is in HR and operations. So we were doing what most people do, right after college, you get your first job, you work your way up the corporate ladder. We were really living the life in New York. We were enjoying it. We had good salaries, but at the end of the day, we felt very professionally unfulfilled. When we would get home from work, we'd grab a pint of beer or a glass of wine and we'd brainstorm business ideas. And because of our complementary areas of expertise, we knew we could go into business together and we knew we wanted to start something together. But we didn't want to do, to your point, a restaurant or a coffee shop or something that's been done a million times before. We wanted to do something a little different. So Damien's from France originally, and I was fortunate enough to be able to travel internationally at a young age. And we knew that there was a lot of interesting concepts that exist out in the world that just maybe haven't been brought to the United States yet. So the month after getting married, we decided if we're going to do something crazy, now is the time to do it before we have kids or a mortgage or other responsibilities. So we made the decision to quit our jobs at the same time. We sold everything we owned. We packed 2 backpacks and we headed out on an indefinite round the world trip. The plan was that we weren't going to come home until we found the perfect business idea that we could bring back and scale in the US. So we ended up traveling for a little over a year. We went to 25 countries. We went all over Europe, all over Asia. And about halfway into our travels is when we found ourselves in a little town called Zakopane in Poland. It's in the Polish Alps. It was a rainy day. We were looking for an indoor activity to do. So we pulled up TripAdvisor and there was a beer spa, which I had never heard of before, but naturally beers and spas sound great, especially on a cold, rainy day. So 30 minutes later, we found ourselves soaking in a tub with a free-flowing keg of Polish beer next to us. And it was really one of the most relaxing experiences we've ever had. Damien fell asleep in the tub and he hardly drank anything. He just had a few sips of beer. But really quickly in my mind, I'm like, okay, I think this is it. I mean, combines everything that we were passionate about. It's hospitality, it's wellness. Americans love beer. We love hot tubs. And it was really, answering a big gap that I felt like we had in the US. Like, I'm a big spa person. I've been going since I was young. But I feel like spas in the US are so transactional. You go in, you get your massage, you get harassed for a membership, and you leave. And that's not really a social experience. Even if you go, on a date night, get a couples massage, you end up on separate tables face down, and then the amenities are usually in gender separated areas. And so I thought it was a really, really cool way to create a social wellness experience, plug beer in, which would attract the male audience. So yeah, I ended up waking up Damien. I splashed him with some water when he fell asleep in the tub. Was like, I think this is it. We're going to open a beer spa.
It's one of those concepts that, on its surface, you're like, well, how come nobody's done this before? Like, it seems so logical.
It seems logical actually when you really think through the business. You really study everything about the business model, the industry, and then you readapt it into differently to a specific market. Often we can take the example of Burger King coming to France or Europe back in the 90s and just applying exactly the same playbook they had in the US. And it was just a big flop, when they started, and mainly in France. They left the market in 1997, I think, and McDonald's had just free reign on the whole market until Burger King came back just not a long time ago in France. So back to us, we knew that, this is very interesting. So how can we really, we are passionate about hospitality, bringing people together, having them spending a good time, treating them like royalty. But this takes a lot of work. If you think of a restaurant, there's a big difference between cooking for your loved one and cooking for 100 people. And you need to deal with, a bunch of veggies that's going to expire in 2 days as soon as you get them delivered. So it's very different. And for us, we've really wanted to create something unique, new, but without reinventing the wheel. Another very important point is how can we create a business model that we can really focus on the longevity of it, something that is not gimmicky, which goes back to really thinking through your business model and how you adapt it to a specific market, and focusing on really what matters, which for us will be wellness, well-being, the state of your mind, the state of your body when you leave the spa. The beer is just an accessory we apply to ease you into relaxation. The beer is extremely helpful for us to attract 50% of men coming to the spa, which, in the US, the real day spas are, the typical day spas are attracting 90% of women and the remaining of people are men. So, from that point, we were like, okay, not only we're motivated by this idea, but let's just tour the world, which is not a bad thing to do, and discover all of the other day spas around the world and the culture around it and how it works in each country. So fast forward, we've done all of the beer spas, wine spas in France and Spain, thalassotherapy, which is it's pretty much you get the seawater and use the seawater in circuits to be able to really help you to feel better, and it's usually be within the a week, 5 or 6 days of almost an experience. So you stay there. There's a hotel, restaurants, and so on. Hansen and Jinjiban in Korea, South Korea, and Japan, where over there it's a family affair. I mean, you show up on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. You have a family, multi-generation family of grandparents, parents, kids, grandkids, and they're all together gathering, changing into those type of like pajama style robes style kimonos, right? And you just jump from hot sauna to salt room to bath to herbal bath. And in the middle of all of that, you've got a cantina where people are drinking cold beers. Again, beers. and slurping both yummy noodles and eating dumplings or gyoza, right? And so you're really here thinking, wait a minute, a spa, the definition of a spa outside of America is a social place, a place where people gathers together to reconnect, a place where you can be two, one by yourself, or 10 or 15 or 20 people, and you're here to really invest the time for yourself, but as well reconnecting with others while spending a good time too by drinking a cold beer or eating something that really makes you happy. And I think this is when it clicked for us. It's like, oh, wow, this is very different. This is not just the transactional aspect of going to a day spa for a massage, getting a cup of tea, a cookie, saying yes or no to a membership and leaving, and doing it again and again and again. And from that point, it was obvious that the US needed a new concept that could be integrated in specific markets with already some anchored cultural codes that you knew. So sauna, this is not something new. Hot tubs, this is not something new. But as well, the beer, the wine. Everyone loves a mimosa, right? When you come to a day spa for bachelorette party. So why not integrating that into a more broad manner? And that's how it was born.
I love the fact that you're taking this experience that you had from other places around the world and you're saying, why not bring that here? And it's very true. As you were explaining that, the American market, and I have to say, I have not been to many spas myself. It is not something that I have done a lot of, but know plenty of people who do. And it does tend to be kind of this solitary experience. Like, a lot of people view it as like this is a me time moment, and you're turning it more into a we time moment,
Yeah.
and making it a little bit more community oriented, or at least doing it with your spouse, your partner, and making it something that's a little bit more of a relaxation event to enjoy with other people. So when you came to set up the business here in the U.S., what were some of the things that might have surprised you, or some challenges maybe that you encountered when you first started putting things together?
When we discovered the concept in Poland, we worked on our business model for a while after that. To Damien's point, we continued traveling to Japan, to South Korea, to France, to Spain, to try all these other spa concepts. We wrote our business plan, we did our financial model. But the first thing was we had to figure out where we wanted to put it. We were living in New York City before, but New York is a bit expensive. It's a bit oversaturated when it comes to tourist activities. So we wanted to find a more mid-sized market where we can make an impact more quickly. So we had done a lot of market research just online about where would be the best city, where's a beer-centric city, a wellness-centric city, where do they have the most support for new concepts, where are there open-minded people. And we had basically narrowed it down to Austin, Portland, and Denver. So, based on all of this research, we decided Denver was going to be the first place we'd try and see if, we could find a place and find funding. So we flew here right after our travels, still with our backpacks on and just business plan in hand. We had never been to Denver before. But all of our market research said that this is going to be the best location. So we started knocking on doors of banks looking for loans, which, not surprisingly, was very difficult. We pitched over 40 banks. We wanted to be self-funded. We didn't want any outside investors. We had a very small amount of equity to put in, which was basically everything that we had saved up from our corporate careers. And all of the banks, we went to the big ones, your JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all the way down to the small local and regional banks. They all thought it was a cool idea and they wanted to come as a guest, but they weren't going to give us any funding. So we ended up connecting with the city of Denver itself. Their Office of Economic Development has a really great program that offers low interest rate loans to businesses that can't get traditional financing. So because we had all these rejection letters from other banks, we were able to go back to the Office of Economic Development and say, hey, like no one else will give us money. Do you want to? They said, we'll give you half if you can find someone to give you the other half. So then we ended up finding a local nonprofit lender that does a similar thing, does more high risk loans. And so they ended up both giving us, 50% and 50%. But what was even more difficult than finding the funding was finding the commercial space. So at the time, the vacancy rate for commercial spaces was 2%. So there was hardly even any spaces available. And then the landlords really didn't want to talk with us. They wanted proven tenants that they knew were going to pay their rent, just like the banks. They were like, well, this sounds like a cool experience. I want to come as a guest, but I'm not going to give you a lease. So we had a really hard time finding a commercial space, but we ended up finding a smaller landlord that was willing to work with us in a neighborhood that's called Rhino. So it's the River North Arts District. It's like the hip and trendy neighborhood that has breweries and restaurants, kind of an industrial area. We're right on the outskirts of that. But even with all of the financing that we got, we were still very underfunded. We had underestimated how much our build out cost was going to be, especially because when we got our loans, we didn't know that the building we were going into had no heating or air conditioning. We had to upsize electrical service. We had to upsize the water line. We had to do asbestos removal. We had to put in new floor. I mean, it was basically a complete gut job that we had to redo the entire space. So we had a lot of challenges during the construction process. Damien and I ended up doing a lot of it ourselves. We were the ones painting the walls. We purchased cabinetry from Home Depot and painted them and turned that into what is our tap wall now. This was during COVID as well. So a lot of businesses, unfortunately, were going out of business, but fortunately for us, there was a lot of auctions. So businesses were, selling off all of their equipment because they had to file for bankruptcy. So we were able to get, for example, a walk-in cooler that's usually $10,000 to $20,000. We got for $200 from a Subway that was going out of business in Fort Collins, an hour away from us. Basically more than 50% of our furniture and equipment came from these auctions, which I really don't think we would have been able to open without that. During this time, we were also having to max out as many credit cards as we could get our hands on. You would apply for a bunch of credit cards on the same day so they wouldn't see, they wouldn't get the credit reports. You'd max them out, any cards that had 0% interest for 12 months or whatnot, and just crossing your fingers that you're going to be able to pay them back before the high interest rates kick in. We were, doing construction all day, and then Damien was driving for Lyft at night. Because we needed a little bit of income for us to live as well. And he would use this as a market research opportunity. He'd say, hey, we're opening a beer spa. What do you think about this price point? What do you think about this package? And it's quite funny. After we opened, we've had a number of guests that said, hey, I think the owner was my Lyft driver back in the day. So, it was definitely a really difficult time. It took us about 2 years to build out the first location just because of, COVID and supply chain, and we didn't have enough funding, but we ended up opening in February of 2021. So we're now celebrating 5 years in business.
That is, first of all, congratulations to you both, because what an incredible story of endurance and just stick-to-itiveness. I think a lot of people in the face of all this, and mind you, this is 2 years of no revenue, 100% cost, and the fact that you got the loan and you had the credit cards, the payments still need to be made while you're making no revenue. So that is incredible. You guys have to have an amazing support network, because I'm sure that, and I don't know, maybe I'm making some assumptions here, but that is quite a lot to go through in that amount of time just to get up to speed. So congratulations to you both for making it through that point. And now you're at the 5-year mark, which means that you've created some sustainability. So tell me a little bit about like year one, because now you've got this mountain of costs and money owed. So what was that pressure to turn this into break even or revenue positive in a very short amount of time, I would imagine?
I mean, we've always believed that cash flow is king, right? So how do you launch a brand new business that is unknown from no one? Roll your eyes when you hear about a beer spa. What did you drink? That must have been really good. What beer do you drink? And so I think the most important thing for us was to market our concept way before launching it. For example, when we're doing construction, this is not legal, but we passed all of our inspections. We were, inviting people to grab a beer in our tiny little fridge and doing a tour during construction, which is not safe. But you will be able to build some sorts of momentum through excitement within the communities, the neighbors, the neighborhood association, the content creators, bloggers, people who really wanted to be a part of the community. So we invite them, having them doing a tour. We had a landing page on our website to be able to gather email addresses. We have social media accounts. We'll send emails, updates on, what's going on, where are we at with construction, what are the key dates, and so on. And with that, we're able to really launch with about 2,000 email addresses. We're able to create some fun around and being picked up by local news station about our fun story. It was still COVID at that point, so they really wanted to talk about something else than just COVID, right?
Yeah.
And when we launched, we had the chance to be fully booked 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day for the first 2 months. We launch day, we had 2 bookings per minute on our booking platform, which what you see in movies, right? It's like you look at each other, those tech bros together, they launch the hot thing, and you look at each other, it's like, oh my gosh, it's gonna explode, which it did. But then it's like, wow, construction doesn't matter. Actually, the beginning is now. How do we make sure that in 10 days from now, we can welcome the first guests with a big smile and ready? And so we had to hire like so crazy. I mean, like in movies, but we thought that we were that small mom and pop shop to get started, but no, we're that hot thing from the get go, booked 7 days a week. So Jessica has a lot of experiences in hiring. So she got to post on Indeed and LinkedIn and get a few people in to interview. And a few hours later, you're hired. And the next day, you're doing a crash course on how to serve, how to use the technology we have, how to clean a room and a tub. And voila, let's get going. And the first day we opened it, we had about 27 appointments every day, 7 days a week. That was just nice. So we were focused financially on protecting our cash, making sure that we use our cash wisely. Actually, in fact, we were able to negotiate all of the payments, defer them as late as possible without paying crazy interest. And being fully booked helped to really being okay. Let's focus on customer service, guest service. Let's wow the guests as soon as they enter. Let's train the team. Let's be in this mindset. Bookings are coming in. Checkout are happening. Let's just make sure that we plan this, and which we did. So we're able to really planify this and being able to reimburse credit cards, reimburse loans, pay loans during a certain times during the first few years in business, and going through marketing or business ahead of time, being able to really focus on the level of service, the level of commitment we had for the first 3 seconds you step in a spa, helped us to really keep that momentum for, I mean, still as of today, after opening a second location, we still have people coming back month after month, without having a membership at the time. We have a membership now, but at the time they would just keep coming back because it was so good. And this is what really helped us to financially be stable and being able to invest in the future.
That's something I was thinking as you were talking about your opening and customers coming in. You had that initial bump. How often do you find that your clients come back? Like
Yeah.
when you think about the people who come to initially visit, I imagine you're collecting data and information around like how long does it take before they come back again? How many visits a year do they have? You said you
Yeah.
started a membership, so there was probably some incentive to get people back in and build in some incentives for them to be members. What did you start seeing in your business data as you started, the longer you were open?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was the first 6 months, you never know what's happening, but you start to
Sure.
see some familiar faces on, I'm just stopping by for beer. I'm stopping for beer and massage. And then you're seeing the guests stopping every month for a full experience. And so you're right. We've actually gathered data pretty quickly with check-in forms and all of that, and we were able to really find out that most of the people were locals, tourists. There were a bunch of visitors from out of state, just because the first location is located downtown Denver. But it was a very healthy mix of having a local fan base that loved the experience so much that the diehards, I'd say 5% of the whole customer base will come every month. Um, then you have the majority of people who come 2 to 3 times a year. They have a fantastic time for their birthday. So since it's a couple, they say, well, we have a fantastic time for our birthday. So let's come back for your birthday or anniversary, because they knew it was so good. And then, spreading the word of mouth was the best marketing, and people just come back with their friends. Instead of doing a date night package, they do a group party package. So I think we had a lot of guests who had a lot of loyalty commitment to us. And they would be asking for a membership. But the thing is, we were so busy. We're so busy that, and this is a good problem to have. I can be challenging as well, but we couldn't deliver a membership because we'll then commit to sell you a membership for every month. But you won't be able to book, which is something we've always wanted to avoid. We've heard those horror stories from different other indirect competitors that sell you a membership at all costs, and then when it's time to use your credits or your membership, you cannot use it. This is not who we are. We believe in relaxation. We believe that making you happy when you come and leave, you need to leave relaxed and happy. And so overall, we were able to keep having the people going back 2, 3 times a year, which for us was great, and helps to sustain the business instead of constantly trying to get new people through the door.
So you are at a point now where you've opened up more than one location. How long was it
Mhm.
before you opened up the second location and you
Yeah.
kind of saw the demand and the opportunity to do that?
For the first 3.5 years in business, we were booked at 100% occupancy. I kid you not.
That's
8 a.m. to
crazy.
10:30 p.m., 7 days a week. It was wild. It's honestly not even healthy to be that fully booked, because if you need to do maintenance, if you need to do training, there's no downtime. There's a lot of coming in at midnight to do touch up painting and to reseal the grout in the shower and stuff, because there's just no time during the day. And to Damien's point, we had a lot of guests that were frustrated as well. We had a wait list of over 100 people long at any given time that were just waiting for a cancellation to happen so they could snag an appointment. Our guests were waiting 6 to 8 weeks before they could book something, which was frustrating if they wanted to come, as a last minute date night or surprise someone for their birthday, or they had friends and family coming into town and they just weren't able to get a booking. So, we had always planned on scaling. We never wanted to be a mom and pop business owner. We knew we wanted to grow a national brand, which is part of why we chose the beer spa concept originally when we were traveling around the world, is because we thought that it is really scalable. And if we could figure out, the operating procedures, the financial part, and the operating costs are relatively low. We just felt there's a lot of things that pointed to it being a really scalable concept. But we knew we had to go through the process of opening a second one. Since the first one, Damien and I did a lot of the construction ourselves. This was during COVID, so costs were very different. So we knew we had to go through that painful exercise again of opening a new location, hiring an interior designer this time, using a professional GC and contractors, hiring a brand new team from scratch, because as we were saying, our first round of hiring was just a complete crash course. We weren't expecting to have to hire employees, and we put together a training program overnight, and it was not how our franchisees will go about opening a new location. So about 3 years into business is when we started looking for a site for our second location. It took a little while to find the right spot, but then we ended up opening our second location, which is in the South Denver suburbs. So it's about 40 minutes south of our existing location. And that has been open for 1 year now. So our first location had been operating for 4 years by the time that one opened. And another important part is that our second location, we decided to put in the suburbs. So the neighborhood that we're in, it's a little bit older, it's a high income neighborhood, and it's really outside of the downtown area. So especially when people work from home, they're not traveling to downtown very often. So it's even though it's within the greater Denver area, it's very much a different market. And we wanted to be able to prove that, hey, this concept works not just in the downtown touristy center, but also in the suburbs. So when our franchisees go to open locations, we know what marketing tactics work in different areas and things like that. So we've now had our second location open for almost a year. And with that location opening, we were able to open up more appointments, more availability. And so that's why we launched a membership in November of last year as well. And that was really the first time we were able to offer memberships, just because that was the first time that we had some more appointment availability and felt comfortable that our members would be able to make an appointment at a time of their choosing rather than getting frustrated about booking times.
So, I mentioned earlier, my knowledge and self experience with spas is very minimal, but I'm sure other people out there are a little bit more familiar with the experience than I. If you don't mind, walk me through a little bit about what your customers experience when they go for a visit.
Yeah. So picture this. You're coming to the spa, we open the door to you, we treat you like royalty, and you're stepping into this urban jungle. There is the first few seconds is the most important thing. We need to wow you. So the scent, the smell is not an Irish pub. It doesn't smell beer. The sound is urban jungle. We often put a lot of bossa nova. We put a lot of Thai pop. We put a lot of Arabic funk from the 70s, music of the world, French pop. There's no top charts. And we have the team greeting you with a big smile, because we need to be happy to host you. That's a part of our 5-star standards. And we check you in. We ask for your ID. There's a few boring stuff, such as making sure that that there's no lifeguard on duty, and that if you drink a little bit too much, that you're here for relaxation. And then this is where the magic starts. We escort you to a beautiful beer wall in our tap room. We call it the beer wall, but it is a different selection of curated craft beverage, beer, wine, cider, non-alcoholic beverages, all locals mainly. There's no point for us to go out of the state. There's over 400 breweries in Colorado. And we walk you through a tasting of those drinks. And when you have made your selection, we teach you how to pour a beer or a cider or wine. Often you'll tell us that you know how to pour a beer, but in reality, the beer becomes foamy faster than you think. So it's a fun time to teach you how to properly pour beer. When we're done, we escort you to our lounge where we have beautiful couch. It's again very urban jungle green. It's warm, it's cozy. And in here we have someone else, another beer therapist coming to introduce you to our beer bath selection. You might think, oh, wait, you're not putting Coors Light in my bath? Not at all. What we're doing is we're walking you through a selection of 3 different baths. We focus on how you want to feel during that time of the bath and after. So we have 3 different baths, energizing IPA, we have a calming amber, we have a premium one made with arnica. All of those 3 different selection has the main base is hops and barley. Those are really good for you. It's full of nutrients, antioxidants, vitamins. Hops is a sedative. This is a cousin of marijuana. So it really helps you to ease your mind, to relax, and it acts as an aromatherapy when you soak in it. We add some lemongrass, arnica, verbena, roses. It really depends on the season. We have a master herbalist in-house that actually curates those baths on a quarterly basis and sometimes even monthly basis ahead of a new season. And when you have made your selection, we let you hang out with your significant other, best friend, reconnect a little. We have some sorts of table topics on the table where you can have some conversation starters. We have a fun social media wall as well with the colorful tubs and those bowls, those plastic bowls inside where you can take fun pictures. And when your private spacesuit is ready, we'll take you on a tour of a facility. We have a patio with a fire pit. So we'll take you on the tour and we escort you to a private spacesuit. This is where the magic happens. Your private spacesuit, there's you have access to a private spacesuit for 90 minutes. There's an infrared sauna, a beautiful rain shower, and a large tub. We suggest you start with a 20 minutes infrared sauna session to really detox, let go everything, sweat as much as you can. Of course, you can drink your beer. There's as well plenty of water. And then we suggest you take a cold shower to shake off the season to help you keep your blood flowing. And then the magical part, the beer bath. So as I said, there's no real beer in that. We invite you to soak into this bath for about 50 to 55 minutes. The temperature is between 95 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This is fresh, relaxing, but not too hot, not too cold. This is perfect for a bath time where you don't need to stand up and sit down often because it's too hot. Again, that bath has a lot of impact on your body, on your mind. It's crazy what it does to your body. Of course, you can drink your favorite beer. We have a room service system where you can ask pretty much whatever you want. We have charcuterie boards. We have chocolates, bonbons. We have bottle of sparkling wine if you're celebrating something special, such as an anniversary or birthday, or even a congratulations setup if you're getting a promotion of your life or you just graduated from 20 years of studying, right? This often happens. And then when you're done, you're exiting your room and you have access to a cool down room where it's a bit more quiet, a bit cooler. And this serves as a transition to a zero gravity massage lounge. So we do offer massages, but those are not, there's no therapist or masseurs. What we do is we leverage technology to deliver you a more consistent massage. This is technology we've witnessed in Japan and South Korea. There is a leader here in the market in the US that creates that technology. It's backed up by as well NASA research and technology. Pretty much scans your body for 20 seconds, recline you like an astronaut is taking off. So Ben, you feel like Richard Branson floating in the air, and taking off, and you're floating in the air, and you start to have some rollers and airbags and air compression going from top to bottom of your body. And we offer different massages, 15, 30 minutes and 60 minutes massage. And those are really the cherry on top. Those are not the massage chairs you see at the mall, the gas station, and the airport. Often people are pleasantly surprised about the quality, the consistency of the massage, and how relaxing it is. We often hear that people don't like strangers to touch them, and in a dark room or in a closed door room, and we really are happy with choosing technology to help you to deliver you a massage, and then you're done. It's 3 hours on average. There's a vanity area. We provide towels, sleepers, rugs, drinks, of course, and people have a fantastic time. And people come from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. It sounds like quite an experience for sure. One of the things that you threw in there, you hinted at, was you mentioned the word franchise. And I think you've probably now kind of proven out this concept. I mean, honestly, the fact that you remain booked and busy shows that there is some great demand there. So now you're starting to open this up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about, I mean, a lot of people have these ambitions about franchising. And as somebody who has a little bit of experience in this, beer, wine, alcohol space, knowing that like city, state, county laws are so different in a lot of different places. I know you're just getting started with the franchise concept, but tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, and if there's any surprises that you found in your research around expanding and growing this thing out more.
Yeah. So we decided we wanted to go the franchise route about 2.5 years ago versus opening more corporate owned locations. We're a brand new, never before seen concept. There's really nothing else that exists like this. And so we have that unique advantage of being first to market. But in order to maintain that market share, we need to be able to expand quickly. And in order to do so, there's only so many construction projects that Damien and I can oversee ourselves, and only so many cities that we can be in at one time. We're also really passionate about creating products, creating strategies, SOPs, training others. So we felt like our skill set is well suited for having franchisees and helping them to be as successful as we were with our first 2 locations, then going and opening and operating all of these ourselves. So for the past now 2 years, we have been putting together everything that we need to start franchising. There's a lot of legal work that goes into it. There's the franchise disclosure document and the franchise agreement that we had to create. We've put together a really comprehensive operations manual that walks through everything from site selection to pre-opening, hiring, training, operations, SOPs. It's really a playbook of how you run an Oakwell Beer Spa. We've had to map out the target cities that we want to go into. We're not a Starbucks. We're not a Massage Envy. You're not going to have 20 Oakwell Beer Spas in one city. So we have to be really strategic about where we want to go and how many we want to open, because we are a destination. Our guests drive a distance to get to us. And this isn't the type of experience where you're just walking down the road and say, oh, I'm going to take a beer bath. It's something that people,
take a 3-hour break.
Exactly. So, working out what markets that we want to go into, and then building the franchise support structure, making sure that as soon as we sign our first few franchisees, that we have a very comprehensive checklist of what happens on day one after signing, what are the exact site selection criteria, how much are construction costs in these various markets. If they're opening in Iowa, the costs are going to be very different than opening in New York City. And so making sure that we have that all budgeted out for them so they know what the initial investment is going to be. So we really wanted to be diligent with setting up all of the infrastructure and support system that we would need ahead of time before we even start trying to sell franchisees or sell franchises. So we just launched in January, so 2 months ago, with the sales cycle. We are targeting a few specific areas and states that are within an hour and a half flight from Denver. So Damien and I can be very hands-on with the first few. It's really important that the first few franchisees are successful. They're going to be our validators. They're going to be the ones that, either makes or break the system, because future franchisees will want to look at them and see, how the process was, get their feedback. And so it's really important that we are very hands-on with them. So we're targeting Texas, so Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. We're targeting Kansas City, Minneapolis, and then Arizona. We're looking at Phoenix, Scottsdale, as well as potentially Tucson. We've talked to quite a few prospective franchisees outside of those markets as well, which we're definitely open to. But as far as where we're investing our marketing dollars and sales efforts are those 4 specific states. But we're really excited. We have everything that we need to get them open and operating. We're just trying to find the right partners. It's a significant capital investment, and it's also a long-term relationship. The franchise agreements are 10 years long. And so we want to make sure that we aren't overselling. I think a lot of new franchisors come in and they say, oh, I want to sell 50 within the first 2 years. And they have these big ambitions, but they don't have the support system yet. And so they end up getting all these people signed up, and then half of them end up not even opening because they weren't able to guide them through construction or whatever that may be. So we want to be really selective and intentional with the first few franchisees that we bring on board.
You've certainly done a lot of homework to get yourselves to this point. And again, congratulations for just having the foresight to kind of do all that and discover all of the stuff that needs to be done. One thing I wanted to ask about, you mentioned before that you have a curated selection of craft beers. Are you pulling mostly from local? Is it global reach? You guys have traveled all over. I'm sure you've tried a lot of good stuff. Then there's a whole matter of getting it imported here into the US, which is a whole other bag of craziness. But tell me a little bit about your selection of wine. Well, actually, not wine, beer. But you had mentioned wine as well, so I wasn't sure if you also did that as well.
Yeah. So our beverage program includes craft beer. The beer is always local, and it will be local whenever we have franchisees as well. So the franchisees will have the restriction of selecting breweries within their specific state. Even though we're a franchise, we still want to have that local connection. We want to have that community engagement. There's a lot of great cross promotion and marketing opportunities when you partner with local breweries. So basically our tap wall, there's 10 taps. There's 5 local craft beers. We pick the best local beers that the city has to offer for that specific month or season and kind of change them out based on performance. We do have a few different requirements. One is they have to be below 7% ABV. We don't want people drinking Tripel 12% and not feeling well in the infrared sauna afterwards. So we try to keep the ABV 7% or lower. And then it has to be a variety of different beers. So as much as I would love 5 sours on tap, not everyone loves sours. So we always look for something light, something fruity, something hoppy. And then the other 2 you can play with. And so it depends if it's in the wintertime, we'll put on something dark like a porter or a stout. But we always need to have a nice variety of variety of beers for people to choose from. We also have a house beer, though, that everyone will carry. It's called Spa Sidekick. It was created just for us by a local brewery here in Colorado. It's a cucumber lemon gosa. It is, in my opinion, one of the most delicious beers out there. So they juice fresh cucumbers. A lot of breweries get juice that's pasteurized juice from a juice provider, and that's what they use for their beers. But this brewery actually gets buckets of cucumbers and juices them in-house, so it's this really fresh flavor. Has Utah rock salt, has lemon peel in it. It tastes like fresh cucumber juice. It's kind of our play on spa water, like cucumber water, but it's a cucumber beer. And so that's the house beer that all Oakwells will carry. We also have two different wines. So in the summertime, we'll do a white wine and a rosé. In the wintertime, we'll have a white wine and then a red wine. Those are kegged wines, which is, I'm sure, being in the industry, a little challenging to find, but we do have a really great local producer here in Colorado that distributes to some local or neighboring states as well. We have a hard cider. And then the last tap, we try to put a spritz if we can find one. So a wine spritzer of sorts. Something like an Aperol spritz, but that's wine based. So you really have a nice variety to choose from. And then, of course, non-alcoholic beverages are becoming more popular nowadays. So we have a selection of canned beverages. Everything from CBD infusions to electrolyte infusions, non-alcoholic beers. So a lot of our guests will like to have that after their experience. It's not a party environment. Our guests drink on average 2 drinks. So 2 glasses of wine or 2 beers. And then often they'll take a non-alcoholic beverage, at the end of the experience, just to make sure that they're nice and hydrated. But as we continue to franchise and open in new states, we will help the franchisees identify potential breweries and distributors within their specific state so they can bring in the best local beers that their state has to offer.
Wow. So many cool things related. I mean, I've mentioned before we got started here, I have a sister who lives in the Denver, Colorado area, and I will definitely have to pop in the next time I am out that direction. Man, I tell you, it has been so nice hearing from you both and hearing about your journey about starting this business. And for anybody who's interested in franchising, I mean, it sounds like a really great opportunity if anybody is out there thinking about getting into this space. That in mind, how do people find you? Where do they reach out to learn more about either the business or even a franchise opportunity?
Yeah. So our main website is oakwell.com. Now, franchising is very easy. It's oakwellfranchise.com. And we have a sister company called Oakwell Cosmetics. We do offer bath and body beer infused cosmetics product that people just rave and love to offer to their loved one. Doesn't smell beer. But yeah, oakwellfranchise.com is the main website if you want to learn more about the opportunity of opening an Oakwell in your own market.
And then all of our social media handles are Oakwell Beer Spa. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of the things. Just Oakwell
all
Beer
the
Spa.
things. Well, I'll make sure that we include those links in our show notes and our postings as well, so people can easily find that. Well, thank you guys both for just sharing your journey and sharing all of this wonderful stuff. It sounds like a really great opportunity. Congratulations to you both just for sticking to it when I think maybe some others might have given up along the way, but it sounds like you guys are really working hard to make this thing a phenomenal success. So looking forward to kind of watching your journey as you grow. All right. Well, folks, I want to also close with this. We are on a mission to hit 100,000 YouTube subs by the end of 2026. We seem to be getting some momentum as the growth is going faster for sure lately. But so I welcome you. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies most of all, because they're the ones who are going to take the most action on your words. Thank you guys for checking this episode out. If you are interested, also give my book a check out as well. 10 topics to help managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what you do. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or on our website. Thanks again for checking out Daily Pitch. Or I'm sorry, I always say Daily Pitch. Daily Pitch is our other website. Disc Media Startup Story. I'll get it straight one of these days. Anyways, thank you all for checking us out. Have a good one, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to Disc Media, A Startup Story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of Disc Media Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@discmedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes or information about our guests by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.